What's up, guys? We are back with another Bandai Tamashii Nations review, taking a look at one of this year's event exclusives, and this is the MonsterArts entry in this year's event exclusives. We're taking a look at the exclusive version of Kong from Godzilla vs. Kong. So if you've got that figure from, last year? It's a similar figure, but it has some deco changes, and we've got new accessories this time around. He also comes in a bit of a bigger box. And now it is very much event exclusive style type of packaging, so it's really similar to what we see with the Dragon Ball side of things. So it's done up in a black field with this very monochromatic sort of look. So Kong's in red, you've got a big silver, or gray rather, Mecha Godzilla head. And then the back of the box is very reminiscent of a lot of the other packages we see in MonsterArts. So you've got the window on the back side showcasing Kong, and then a bunch of product shots showing how he moves, and some of the new stuff this particular release comes with. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go. Out of the package, our event exclusive King Kong. Now this is a figure that we've already gotten previously, but this version does have some changes. It's deco changes, and it's also a big increase in accessories and a change to accessories. So there's a lot of extra stuff in this version that if you already have the first one might make you want him, or if you don't already have one, this is probably the one to try to get a hold of. No one was ever hurt for having two Kongs though, so even if you do have him, this one's probably going to be a nice addition and in many ways an upgrade. So let's see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. He is of course going to be the same when it comes to moving him around, but for the uninitiated. So we've got a head that can look up really good. This is also to be used when you have him kind of like in a knuckle down position, because he is capable of doing that. So it allows his head to be fully forward. You've got a little bit down as well. Really nice tilt side to side because of how that neck moves with it. Rotation, but of course, you know, he's hunched forward, so it's that kind of thing. Arms go out at the shoulders. They rotate. You've got butterfly movements. We do have a bicep swivel here. It's not the easiest to isolate, but it does move. So you can twist it there. We've got really nice range on the double jointed elbows. And then we've got a ball peg for the wrist. So forward, backward, up, down. Roll it all around. It does have a little bit of limitations because of the fur on those wrists, but overall it moves pretty well. Torso has multiple points of articulation. It's kind of like a system here to get him to work. So you've got a cut here at the upper torso, I suppose, and then you've got a cut here at the midsection, which allows things to sort of get out of its way. You know, you can hide some of these cuts pretty well as you pose him, but it allows him to move a little bit more robustly than if he only had one cut. So he goes back about that far, he kind of rears back, and then you can get him to sort of hunch forward quite a bit as well. And if you use this in conjunction with the hips, you can get that sort of knuckles on the ground kind of movement. He does have pretty good tilt side to side, and then you do have a lot of rotation, like full rotation at this middle cut, but there's also some up here too. If you kind of isolate these plates a little bit, you can sort of get him to move a little bit better. You just have to kind of play with it, but it does work really well. And then there's even a little bit of shimmy down here at the hips, the waist. Legs out about this far. You can get him to go further, but you might risk popping the ball peg off, you know, so just watch out. You can put it back on, obviously. They kick forward about that far, and then they go backwards. You do have a thigh cut up here. Let's get that leg back out. And you've got, yeah, it's kind of tight though. And then we've got double jointed knees. And then down at those ankles, you've got rotation down here, kind of like above the ankle. It's a different cut. And then you've got really nice hinges. Really, really good hinge down there. Forward, backward. And then it's not a real rocker, but it does kind of function as one a little bit down here also, because you can isolate that ankle cut thing there. So it's kind of above the foot, but it works in the same way as if it was an actual ankle rocker. So he is pretty well articulated, and I never had any issues with the first one to begin with. So this guy moves just as well, and he has a lot of different cuts to kind of hide some of his own joints, while also giving you a little bit more range for what is a small figure, but a chunky one. Now, as far as the overall look and feel on this little guy, I'm still really happy with it. You know, again, it's the same figure for the most part to what we've already gotten. There's some changes. You know, we've got multiple faces. We've got different parts when it comes to the torso this time around. And he does seem to be a little bit different when it comes to color. Not like, you know, night and day difference, but definitely seems to be a little bit different. I'm not so sure it's going to be the easiest thing to pick up on camera. But, you know, let's just go ahead and pull the first one out. And here's our original here on the right. So you can get an idea. I mean, again, same figure, but we're talking different head sculpts right at the moment. And then, of course, a difference in finish in some ways. It's not like a shiny versus a matte kind of thing, but like some of the paint on the new one does seem to be a little bit different than the paint on the old one. Not to mention the fact that the big key difference here is that this version of Kong includes a third head sculpt. So this is like a snarling, kind of gritting of the teeth kind of head sculpt. The first Kong only has this sort of stoic, almost serene head sculpt, and then the yelling head sculpt. So you've got that, and I really like this one. It adds a little bit more dimension to him. It gives you another option as far as display goes, and it's kind of in the middle between normal and super raging mad. This one is just he's getting ready for battle, I suppose, but I really like this one. It's probably going to be my go-to head sculpt going forward. And then the big thing beyond that is the fact that we have different chest pieces. So like I mentioned, the whole plating system when it comes to these guys. So you've got the plate on the torso, the upper diaphragm, and then the midsection. They're different here. So you've got more battle damage on this one. There are crisscross scars on him this time, and then more actual slightly bloody looking paint on his midsection there compared to what is mostly just scratches on this one, and then battle damage only going from one direction on that upper piece. So, it's minimal, don't get me wrong. It's not like a huge night and day difference, but it's enough. It's enough to translate this figure into something a little bit extra. If you've already got the first one, you get some extra stuff. It's not just additional accessories, though frankly the accessories are probably what make this guy the most exciting, but you do get a few different ways to change him up that you wouldn't have otherwise had. So still the same great figure in terms of articulation and design, and I'm still a big fan of how he looks, but he is changed up just enough to make him maybe warranted of a second purchase. Now, as far as for size comparisons, we've got the counterparts for this Kong. So we've got Godzilla and we've got Mechagodzilla from the same movie, and you can see that, the sizes are all over the place here. Kong is the small one by all accounts. This thing's just massive. It's a big old figure, but it gives you an idea of what they look like next to each other. Let's move Mechagodzilla aside, and here is the event exclusive Goku from this year, for an idea of what he looks like next to a Figuarts. And then let's move Godzilla aside. And here is an entirely different line, different scale, the whole 9 yards. There is Thundercats Ultimate's Lion-O, well, Mirror Lion-O. And then we got to do a Hasbro figure, normal 6-inch, right? So here is the Marshal himself, Cobb Vanth from the Black Series. You can see Kong is a small figure. He's beefy, he's got some heft and some robustness to him, but he's not tall by any means. He is definitely on the smaller side, especially for, a giant ape. Now, as far as accessories goes, this is where the set really changes things, because while he does have some deco changes, minor deco changes at that, to the body itself, there's a lot of accessories here compared to the relative few that we got with the first release. So to start with, we do get 7 extra hands, which is definitely more than we got the first time around. We've got fists on him in the box. You get a set of sort of, style posy, sort of like walking on the knuckles kind of fingers. You get a single right pointing finger. You get a single right hand, which is gripping in a specific way for we'll say the 4th head that's in this box. You get a set of gripping hands. And then you get a single left, more widely gripping hand. So 7 total. And then we get the extra heads. So this is the one that he comes with in the box. It is the new one, the unique one to this set. And we get the heads that came with the last release. So we get the sort of stoic, serene head almost. And then you get the screaming, yelling, roaring style head, which was my favorite previously. I like the idea of having this one just to change it up, just to be slightly different. And then we get into the realm of things that are more unique to this set. Probably the most exciting for a lot of folks is going to be this thing. So this is the axe, and we now have an energy effect. So this is a very Tamashii lightning effect kind of thing. It's interesting how it attaches. It's kind of fragile, so maybe don't go whacking things with it. But it does look really good, and it sells the idea of it sort of swooshing through the air to crash lightning down onto Godzilla, or of course Mechagodzilla. It is 2 pieces, and it actually clasps around the axe blade, or the spine. So you've got 2 pieces there, and then this is our axe. And of course, this is the original from the first release. They're the same thing, but this one has a deco change to make it look, I think it looks a little bit more exciting, really, and it ties more into that effect with the, like, you know, the lightning crashing down. So the same thing, but just a different paint deco, different idea. You know, this is more like a fully charged one, I guess is the best way to describe it in many ways. And then we get these little guys. So these are those little HEAV vehicles. That's what they're called, right? So you've got this little base, which has the 3 wires that come up, and each one of these pegs onto it. So you can sort of set the scene, you know, if you want Kong to kind of go after them or make it look like they're escaping, you know, that particular moment in the movie. You got to watch how they're posed. They will pull this thing down, but once they're on there, they sit pretty well. Kind of a unique idea, especially if you're into, you know, scene building or diorama building or just photography in general. And then we've got the big accessory for me, because it's just a ridiculous one. So we get the destroyed Mecha Godzilla head and neck. You know, of course, spoiler alert, I guess. You know, at the end, Mecha Godzilla gets destroyed. Look at that. And the head gets ripped off, and you get that. This is, of course, not the same head that's on the figure that I showed you previously. It's a little bit different. This neck is definitely not the same thing, because that dude has a huge, thick neck, and then you've got this fully exposed sort of like, you know, entrails coming out of him as far as a robot goes. But this is a really cool idea, and again, they're adding more stuff, adding more value into this set for folks who maybe do already have it, to get a bunch of this extra stuff that would have worked really nicely in the first set, but maybe couldn't have been included for, you know, whatever reasons, spoiler reasons, or things they just didn't know about in early development. So we do get an added kind of like accessory pack almost with this guy. So a bunch of hands, a bunch of heads, head that's not even his, effect for the already cool axe, and then an updated axe. So frankly, a lot of good stuff in this package, and even the stuff we already had, I'm enjoying getting again, because it, you know, it was changed in some way, and then they added stuff onto it to make it all work really well. And then, you know, just again, like I mentioned, this is the hand that you use for this. It's kind of sectioned off, so it kind of cinches in between the sections of the neck. It works pretty well. You just got to sort of get it in there. But yeah, you've got plenty of options here in terms of how he holds stuff, what he can do, and how you want to display this guy. So yeah, overall, I am really happy with this version of Kong. I liked the first one, but he did have kind of a lack of accessories, and this figure, this release rather, improves upon that in every way. So you've got a different bit of deco here. He's very similar, but he does have more battle damage on the torso, a little bit different color in some ways. He's slightly less chocolatey, if that makes any sense. And then it's all about the accessories, though. So that severed or ripped apart Mecha Godzilla head absolutely sets that final scene. You've got the improved axe with the energy effect, which of course makes that just instantly better, despite the fact that it is a little bit cumbersome to use. And then this tremendous amount of hands, which is definitely an improvement over the first time. And then you've even got those, you know, little HEAV vehicles, which, while I'm probably never going to use them myself, it does allow you to set a scene and kind of add a little bit more depth and excitement to a display or some photography. So this guy definitely has some improvements. And again, if you don't already have SH Figuarts Kong, this would be the one to go for. So that's going to do it for this look at the Bandai Tamashii Nations event exclusive Kong. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.